In the U.S., Orthodox Jewish and pro-Palestinian activists staged a protest in front of the White House against the Israeli regime.
Because at the same time, we have the growing movement.
We are here with God's help as Jews from around the world, from Jerusalem, Al-Quds, to New York, and from Europe, to tell the world that we are outraged. We oppose this AIPAC conference and what they represent, the Zionist state of Israel. We will never rest with God's help. We will never accept the occupation of Palestine.
The protesters called for the immediate termination of the Israeli regime and the return of the occupied territories to Palestinians. There was another rally in Washington, D.C. Activists gathered outside the building where the annual conference for the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, known as AIPAC, was being held. The attendees of the conference had to stay in the building due to the massive rally outside. The demonstrators were outraged over America's financial support for Israel. They also called for an end to the Israeli aggression against Palestinians. Let's speak to Rabbi Yisrael David Weiss. He's the Associate Director of the Neturei Karta International, and he joins us live from New York. Many thanks for joining us here on Press TV, Rabbi Weiss. Now, we heard you earlier at this protest. Why is it that you're so opposed to Israel and U.S. support for it?
With the help of the Almighty, we were very busy. We had our protests in New York, but we did go out to Washington, D.C. We had a march with our Auda, right of return, and we went and marched from the White House to across from the AIPAC conference, their convention, to voice our outrage at what is being portrayed in the name of my religion of Judaism, in the name of the Jewish people, that we are, God forbid, accepting and wanting this occupation of Palestine, when in truth there could be nothing further from the truth. Our religion, Judaism, forbids stealing and killing, forbids the Jewish people, since the destruction of King Solomon's temple 2,000 years ago, of having even 1 inch of Jewish sovereignty, and certainly not making a national home on the heads and shoulders, on the land of others, and especially here, the Muslim people, the people of Palestine, who are so gracious, as in Iran, the Muslim people were so gracious to provide us a home, a safe haven, for hundreds and hundreds of years, and in Iran, in Persia, was thousands of years. And now, for these ingrates, these Zionists, to say, oh, those Muslims, they hate the Jews and there's a religious conflict and they don't accept the Jews, they're anti-Semitic. There could be nothing more vile and repugnant than that. These Muslim countries, including in Palestine, had provided, as I say, a place for us to rest, a place to find a home and to grow in our religion, while we were suffering through the Crusades and Inquisition and World War II. So the concept of creating this rebellion, a Jewish sovereignty which is forbidden, and by stealing this and creating this nation home, by stealing the homes of the Palestinians and saying it's because the Palestinians want to kill the Jews, this is something that we are humiliated. It's being done in our name, and we cry and feel the suffering of the Palestinians, and we stand up. And we had to come here to Washington today and stand in front of the White House
Rabbi Weiss,
and plead with our president. Let me just jump in there
very quickly, if I may. Also, right now, let's not forget, this is an election year for the U.S. And as we've seen election year after election year, these people who want to run for the presidency and even become ultimately president of the United States make their pitch to AIPAC on how their policies are going to continue supporting Israel. What do you make of that?
Well, unfortunately, many people are misled by this powerful public relations, the PR of the Zionists, and that is why it is so crucial that we, as we join with the other groups and try to educate our politicians and tell them, don't be fearful of standing up for what is godly and what is righteous and what is compassionate. You are not anti-Semitic. Stand out. And I must say that this last Friday we were actually in a town in New Jersey, in North Bergen, New Jersey, and where we raised, with God's help, with some imams, we raised a flag, the Palestinian flag, officially in front of the town hall, and it's going to be flying there for 2 weeks. And they're going to do this. They've done it in Patterson, New Jersey, and they'll be doing it in Clifton with God's help. So we see that the politicians are beginning to hear our cry, even though that the Zionists are trying to ignore the true voice of Judaism, that my brethren in Jerusalem and Al-Quds are demonstrating in the thousands and are being beaten and arrested and stifled, their voices stifled. But slowly but surely our voices are heard, thanks to Press TV, thanks to the what's called alternative media, but what is the true media. Our voices are heard, our thankfulness to Iran for the home they've provided for us. Instead of the vilification of all these people, of all these nations, these great Muslim countries, their people are starting to realize that they've been fed a lie, and they're hearing our voice. And with God's help, as we constantly pray to God, He's the all-powerful, He should bring a speedy and peaceful dismantlement. God help, it should happen totally and
Rabbi
peacefully,
Weiss,
because
very
God
quickly,
can accomplish everything to the state of Israel.
You've been protesting for many, many years now against Israeli atrocities, its land grab, its treatment of Palestinians, its influence in American politics, etc. Have you seen a difference being made, though?
Most certainly. I mean, with the help of the Almighty, I think everybody sees, because there is this alternative media, for instance, as I say, this powerful Press TV, that the world can't, and the politicians can't ignore the facts on the ground. For instance, when they claim, they speak, they hijacked our Star of David in the name Israel, but when the tens of thousands and sometimes hundreds of thousands of Jews go out and scream, true Jews, Jews who are practicing the Judaism, and say, no, this is a lie, this is a farce, and this is a facade, and what they're doing to the Palestinians is they're vilifying the victims. When people hear this and they see the bloodshed that they're causing, the Zionism is causing, then the politicians must change, and we see that slight change, that move, as I said, that they were willing to hang, to raise a Palestinian flag officially in some towns. And we've had President Obama, and God should help, he should be successful before he leaves his office, that he should really hear the Palestinian voice. And as we see that he started to make peace with Iran, with God's help, to openly, in defiance of the Zionist Prime Minister and their AIPAC, and he said, we want what's good and proper, and he's defying the Zionists. So with God's help, this will be a catalyst that it will bring a total dismantlement of this impediment to peace, this impediment to freedom, of free Palestine, and our close bond with the beautiful nation of Iran and all the other Muslim nations with God's help.
Weiss, he's the Associate Director of Neturei Karta International. Robert Weiss, it's always a pleasure having you with us here on Press TV.